It's you, Nikki.
Good afternoon and welcome to day 2 of the Chat Conference. You are attending the 2:15 session entitled Choosing the Best Device Mirror Solution for Your Campus. My name's Nikki Barnes and I'm just here to introduce a few housekeeping items. There will be a question and answer session at the end of this presentation. Please submit any questions that you have using the link in the YouTube chat box. This session is being recorded and it will be available on the ESU Check 2020 website after the presentation. At this point, I'd like to introduce our presenters from Emporia State, Adam Sargent and George Head. Take it away, guys.
Greetings and welcome to our presentation on choosing the best wireless presentation system for your learning space. This is a part of the Check 2020 conference hosted by Emporia State University. I am Adam Sargent and I've been working collaboratively with George Head on this presentation. A little bit about ourselves. George and I are part of the Learning Technologies team at Emporia State University. We work specifically with designing, installing, and supporting technologies that we use in our classrooms, conference rooms, and commons areas, both on campus and off, as well as for some of our online courses. To start off, we'll go over what is a wireless presentation system. Wireless presentation systems are usually a piece of hardware, but can sometimes also be a software that allows a user to wirelessly present content from either their own PC, tablet, or smartphone to another screen inside of your learning space. This usually uses a screen mirroring technology that allows the same image that's on your personal device to be displayed exactly like it is up on the bigger display in the space. Some of the displays that people would usually connect to for this purpose are a projector, an LED TV, an interactive TV panel, and things like that. The technology is suitable for various collaborative environments such as meeting rooms, conference rooms, classrooms, huddle spaces, and even some commons areas at your institution. Next, we're going to look at some wireless presentation system desired features that we consider when we select a wireless presentation system. To start with, you'll see connectivity to multiple devices with different operating systems. Currently in the industry, we see operating systems such as Windows, Android, iOS, Mac OS, and Linux. And the wireless presentation systems often have the capacity to connect to devices that use one or more than one of these operating systems. We generally feel the more operating systems that the wireless presentation system can connect to and communicate with, the better, and the more flexible your space is going to be. Another feature that we look at is remote manageability. This is basically a feature that the IT staff will utilize to do bulk and remote updates to the wireless presentation system in the space. This would be things like firmware updates, software updates, or just general changes to the settings or features and functions of the wireless presentation system. Certain wireless presentation systems you need to be in the same room with the device to be able to directly connect to it and then make changes. Others you can remotely manage through the same network that the wireless presentation system is connected to, and even others allow you to remotely manage them even when you're not on the same network and you might be at a remote location such as your home or another location for your institution. So that's the differences in the different types of remote manageability that wireless presentation systems are currently using. A third feature set that we look at is the digital sign features that the wireless presentation system can do. Certain digital sign features are calendar integration, such as being able to integrate your Google Calendar or an Outlook calendar into the wireless presentation system to show a schedule of events up on the screen, or possibly just custom backgrounds, having a custom splash screen with maybe your company logo and some custom text that you can provide that just stays up on the screen at all times when it's not in use. And then there's some more advanced features such as productivity apps and dashboards, or even websites that your company may have built that have video content or other type of content such as Google Slides or PowerPoint slideshows that go through on the screen and just refresh over time. So different types of digital design features are offered by different wireless presentation systems. So it's something to look at and consider to see if those are some features that you might want to use with your product that you select. Dual band wireless and optional Ethernet connectivity. Just being able to connect to 2.4 or 5 gigahertz wireless networks as well as a physical Ethernet connection give you more flexibility when you install a wireless presentation system, so that if you have a space that you don't have a physical Ethernet connection in, you could still utilize the wireless, and vice versa. Maybe you have a room that doesn't have very good wireless connectivity, but you might be able to put a physical Ethernet connection in. It just gives you more flexibility when you're installing the products. Security features, that is the pin code connect. That's basically where the display in the room will show a pin code on screen that a user will have to type into their own device to finish connecting to the wireless presentation system. It's a security feature that keeps people that aren't in the room from being able to connect to the product. Enterprise network capability. Certain wireless presentation systems are better at utilizing and communicating across an enterprise network. That is something to consider if your institution utilizes an enterprise network. Emporia State uses enterprise network, so it was definitely something we needed to have as a feature set when we chose our products. Different levels of access for device management. This kind of goes back along with the remote manageability, being able to set up different levels of access to your wireless presentation system based off of your IT staff and needs that you might have for certain individuals to only be able to change or manipulate certain features, while other individuals may have more of a super user role and can adjust more features of the devices. Continuing on with some more desired feature sets, the capability to share on multiple screens simultaneously. What this is when you have a medium size or larger event space, you'll usually have more than one screen in that space to help people have different viewing angles of what's going on in the space. Not all wireless presentation systems can share across multiple screens at the same time. So it's something to consider when you're designing your wireless presentation system that you want to go into your space, on whether or not it has the capability to connect and show what's on your personal device on multiple screens at the same time. Additional feature sets within this include not only being able to mirror exactly what's on your device up on the screens at the same time, but maybe even running it in an extended array where you can have some of your content on your device in one screen and other content off your device pulled up in a different screen. So all of those are different types of the way that wireless presentation systems can share up onto the displays in the rooms, and it's something to look into when you're selecting your product. Allowing multiple users to connect to the wireless presentation system and share content simultaneously. This is a little bit different feature than being able to share on multiple screens at the same time. This is actually being able to have individuals in the space each have their own personal devices and share that content off of those devices up on the screens at the same time. Not all wireless presentation systems can do this, so it's something to consider if you need that specific functionality in the space you're designing. A lower price per unit versus the desired features and the offers from competitors. This is essentially when you just compare price per unit of the actual hardware versus the features it comes with, and then compare it to each individual competitor. So all of the hardware units are basically have a retail price, and then some of the features are offered as part of that piece of hardware, but many of the units offer additional features for an additional cost, and we'll see more on that in just a minute. Moving along to cost savings, certain manufacturers offer cost savings when you buy multiple units at the same time from them, and also some manufacturers will throw in things like free firmware updates, software updates, and tech support for the devices when you buy from them. So those are things to consider as well. The last thing we basically looked at when we compared our units was easy access to tech support. Some manufacturers, believe it or not, charge when you have to use their tech support, and some do not. Also, some manufacturers have a pretty good website system in place with some tutorials and videos on how to do some things with their products, while others do not. So that's some things to consider when it comes to ease of tech support use for your product. Moving along, you'll see here we come to a series of slides that's going to show some of the wireless presentation systems we compared when we were making our selection on what wireless presentation system we were going to use predominantly across our campus. Here you see Airtame 2 versus the Barco ClickShare. You'll notice that there's some licensing cost differences there, where the Airtame has free costs for their software, central management or remote management of their wireless presentation systems, as well as free customer support and different subscription fees for certain digital signage features. In comparison, the ClickShare shows they have a subscription plan or a varying subscription plan for all of those items, depending on how many of those features you may choose to use or need when using that product. Here we see a little more of a breakdown of the Airtame versus the ClickShare and the cost of the overall hardware. The Airtame, of course, is listed first, and then the different models of ClickShares that were currently available are listed after that. You'll see there, you can just see how much the cost per unit is, and then some of the software and tech support costs associated with each product. The next slide here shows when we compared our Airtame 2 versus the ClickShare models as far as the connectivity across different operating systems. You'll see those operating systems we talked about earlier being Windows, Mac OS, Chromebooks, Linux, iOS, and Android. The Airtame 2 essentially has the ability to use an app that they produce, or to use built-in cast functionality of the different devices. What the cast functionality is if you've heard of things like Miracast, Chromecast, AirPlay, AirServer, those are native casting applications that are built into certain manufacturers' devices. For example, Windows uses Miracast, Mac OS uses AirPlay, Chromebook uses Google Cast. So the Airtame has the ability to use those devices' native casting apps to simply directly connect to that wireless presentation system. You'll see the ClickShare has a physical dongle that's uses a USB connection with the dongle to plug into the device to connect to it, and then they have a native ClickShare app that could be downloaded and installed on the unit to connect. Some of their higher end models that cost a little more begin to have the same functionality where they can use Google Cast or AirPlay, things to that nature, to connect the devices. Moving along here, you see another device that we use on our campus, which is the Mersive Solstice, and again the comparison we used with the Airtame 2. Primary difference between Mersive Solstice and Airtame 2 is that the Airtame 2 can currently only have one user connected and presenting at a time. If you need multiple users to be able to simultaneously collaborate, like we were talking about when we discussed features, Mersive Solstice and a few other wireless presentation systems out there have this capability and would be a better solution for you if you needed that specific feature set. However, I will say when you look at the cost comparisons, the difference in price per unit is very substantial for that feature. So if you don't need that specific feature, then I would recommend choosing a different product. Here you'll see some of the similar cost comparisons with the price per unit and the software updates, remote central management of the devices, and tech support. Again, the Solstice uses a subscription plan. The price per unit there is listed for a couple of different versions that they offer versus the Airtame. So depending on what features you might need, they're all listed out here for you to compare. Here again with the connectivity, you'll see that the Mersive Solstice does have an app that you can download when using Windows, but they do have some native AirPlay and Miracast built into their product so that you can directly connect with those casting options. You'll see here they also offer some 4K resolution versus the AirPlay's 1080p option, so you get a little better resolution. Again, the Mersive offers that extended display where you can see multiple content across different displays at the same time, or even cast to multiple screens at the same time, or even multiple rooms at the same time. All of those features do come at an added cost, however, so if cost is something you're considering when choosing your product, you'll need to figure out how much extra those features cost and see if that's a product that's going to be right for you. Last here is just another comparison we made when we were talking about the digital signage options. Both Airtame and Mersive Solstice offer a variety of digital sign capabilities. They also do both have a dashboard or cloud system that allow you to do bulk updates, remote updates, and supply different levels of access. The Solstice dashboard does have a cost associated with it, whereas the Airtame cloud system is free with their products currently. So again, sometimes the cost may come into comparison there when you're deciding to choose which product you need. Going on to another product that we use on our campus is a Google Chromecast and the Airtame 2, and by comparison the Airtame 2 is more expensive than the Google Chromecast. The Google Chromecast, however, is really only effective when utilizing other products that have Google Cast enabled. So if you're going to use Google specific products, then you can save a lot of money by switching to a product that is specific for Google only. The same would apply to using products such as the Apple TV. Here you can see there's a much lower cost associated with the Apple TV, but they only usually natively cast and play nice with Apple devices that have AirPlay built into them. They're a lot harder to make work with devices that use Windows or things like Chromebooks and Android phone systems and things like that. So if you just need one specific operating system, you can see here through some of these comparisons, you can get those type of devices at a greatly reduced cost to our Airtame 2 in this example, but then you lose the flexibility of being able to communicate and function more efficiently with some of the other operating systems. Out here are some other options possibly worth reviewing that we discussed with one another when comparing products out there. You see there is a WePresent, a Kramer Via, a Crestron Air Media, an Intel Unite, and the Microsoft wireless adapter. Of all of these products, the Intel Unite, Crestron Air Media, and Kramer Via are the high end of the price point and also offer features similar to your Mersive Solstice pods. So they will be able to do things like simultaneously display multiple users on the screen and maybe even do extended display on two different screens at the same time and things like that. The WePresent is a different wireless presentation system that is along a similar price point to the Airtame 2 and has some of the same feature sets. So if you're looking for a different product like an Airtame 2, but it's just offered by a different manufacturer, that was one we came across in our study that we were kind of comparing against the Airtame 2. The Microsoft wireless dongle is along the same as your Chromecasts and your Apple TVs, so it's less expensive, but it mainly only functions well with other Microsoft devices. Here on this slide we see a bit about why here at ESU we chose Airtame 2 as our primary wireless presentation system. We felt that this solution created the most flexibility to be able to connect across multiple devices with different operating systems. It did have the remote manageability that we talked about, both from on our campus and off. We felt that it had a minimal loss of features versus the cost per unit. So we felt like they provided a lot of their features just with buying the product. And though they do have some subscription add-ons, you don't have to buy them for all of your units. You can just buy some of those add-ons for individual units where you might want to use them, and you can kind of pick and choose some of those features to add on. The price point we felt was at a good spot that would allow for us to do a large-scale deployment and put these in a lot of our classrooms, conference rooms, and common spaces as we needed. So we felt like that the price there was good for that. There is no reoccurring subscription fees for firmware or software updates. Currently, Airtame is offering all firmware and software updates for their products at no additional cost. Again, the only additional cost they're currently utilizing is for additional digital signage features. So they give you a few basic digital sign features for free, but after that, to use some of the more advanced features, you do have to pay a subscription. We'd like to thank you for taking part in our presentation today. Here on the screen, you'll see George and I's contact information for how to reach us here at ESU, as well as our Learning Technologies website. If you have any further questions, feel free to talk to us in our Zoom session right after the presentation. Thank you.
And I had a lot of fun getting back into doing some imagery work. So yeah, it was a great learning experience. And you know, also the product itself, I'll honestly say when we were like working on some of the conference rooms, man, it's like probably one of the best decisions that we've made as far as like purchasing technology. It's simple, it's easy, and just very, very user friendly.
Yep, I'll second that, George. It was really interesting to try out a lot of different wireless presentation systems to try to see what was really going to mesh well with our users on campus, as well as our IT staff, to be able to support the products. And it was just an interesting experience to kind of start from basically us not really having a lot in regards to wireless presentation capabilities on our campus, and then now we have several different options available to people in their classrooms or in their conference rooms, or even some commons areas around our campus. So that was really cool. I'd like to thank everybody that watched the presentation today, and thanks for being a part of Virtual Check 2020.
Thank you very much.